Memorial service is being held for the late Essop Pahad in Johannesburg. Let's listen in.
Nelson Mandela got arrested, as you remember, that he went out into the continent and elsewhere, came back, and was arrested. He was a very great hero in our eyes as young people, Nelson Mandela. Because you remember that by this time, he was already underground. ANC was banned, and it was clear that that underground struggle would be very central in terms of what happens to South Africa. So to us, he was his great idol, because this leader of ours had already gone underground, and it was quite clear that this is a person who would lead us. And then he got arrested. So we discussed this matter of his arrest. I'm talking about as a youth. And took a decision that we must snatch him out of the hands of the apartheid police. We didn't trust the leadership that it could do anything about it. So in situation when we did nothing, he would be tried, he'd be sentenced for many years in jail, and we didn't agree with that. So we decided that we must act to get him out of the hands of the police so that he can then continue with the struggle. So we had a discussion about this, very quiet discussion among a few of us. And the first question we had to answer is, where do we get the arms from? Where do we get the weapons to do this? Some things I will not disclose today. But we're all involved in this discussion, Essop and others, a few of us. There was a big criminal at the time around Johannesburg here, a man called Sheriff Khan. The name was well known. And we knew that among us, there were people who had links to Sheriff Khan. So we said we needed weapons, and specifically 6 pistols. So we, in a sense, ordered our 6 pistols and got them. Ronnie, you remember this name, I think he's late now, Vijay Rama. Vijay is the one who brought us the pistols. So here we are now, we've got 6 pistols. We must now start planning how to get Mandela out of the hands of the police. I'm then summoned by somebody who's late now, Bartholomew Tapane. And he says to me, we know that you young people are busy planning to snatch Nelson Mandela from the arms of the police. I don't know who I told him. I couldn't admit to this. But I said, I'm ready to listen to what you have to say. So he says, look, we know that you are planning to do this. But the first question I'd like to ask you, suppose you succeed, where will you take him? In the truth of the matter that we didn't know. So I said, I'm listening. And then he said, but bear in mind, he didn't say stop. He said, bear in mind, you might be creating problems for a plan that the movement has to address this problem that you are raising. So That is the end of the meeting. So I go back to my comrades. I'm very, very excited. Because Bartholomew Tlhapane has just told us that it is a plan that the movement is going to carry out, and we might mess it up by doing what we plan to do. So that was the end of our plan. And Vijay took back the Six Pistons. You can imagine our disappointment when the leadership did nothing. And he was sentenced to 5 years and so on. But one of the interesting things about that story is that Bartholomew Tlhapane ended up as one of the worst traitors of the movement. Appeared in many cases where our people then got condemned. But in our case, he saved us. He saved us from doing something which was, in reality, very foolish. I have no doubt that all of us would have died trying to release Mandela, but he stopped us. On the basis that the movement, senior movement, was doing something, and we should not complicate what they were doing. But I'm saying, colleagues, that was one of the early things I got to know about Essop. That commitment for life meant that readiness, even then, in 1962, to do something which we as young people thought was important. It was reckless. But I think it was an indication of the commitment that somebody like Essop would have, that would go to the extent of acquiring weapons illegally in order to discharge our responsibilities as cadres of the movement. I'll mention one or two of these things. Chairperson, and sit down. Just to illustrate this person. So we all end up in England, and we're all working there as a youth. And so we then decide we really need to have a youth organization. A lot of ANC young people around England, United Kingdom. So we must form an ANC youth and student section. This might look today very simple. The problem with our proposal was that this was the ANC youth and student section, which was all of us, youth, Essop, myself, everybody else. And so we told the headquarters, Dar es Salaam at the time, that we're going to form this ANC youth and student section. And there was an objection from Dar es Salaam, which was that the ANC had not decided that it would have a non-racial membership. So we could not call ourselves ANC Youth and Student Section, whatever else. So we decided, we discussed this, and decided, no, we must defy it. We must defy it. We are a youth and student section of the ANC, white, black, everybody. And in the end, the matter had to be endorsed by the NEC of the ANC. Essop was leading this rebellion, because we're rebelling against an instruction from headquarters to say you can't form an ANC youth and student section composed like that. We won that battle. I'm saying Essop was very important in insisting that we can't abandon what is correct, that we as the ANC youth must constitute this section. Faisal, the summer of 1966 in England, in the United Kingdom, was very warm. It was a very exciting summer. Some of us nearly failed our university work because we were stuck on television. You know, the summer of '66 was the Soccer World Cup was played in England. So instead of doing our dissertations, we were busy watching television. The Wimbledon of that year was also very exciting. But also very exciting was the West Indies cricket team. You are quite right about this cricket team. Louis Duploy also mentioned it. We were all at the University of Sussex, so we lived in Brighton. The West Indian team came to play Sussex, the Sussex cricket side. So Essop indeed raises this question that, look, we've got the West Indies cricket club here in Sussex, and in Sussex County. Why don't we invite them to dinner? Now, if people who know cricket would remember that this was an outstanding team, that one, led by Gary Sobers. Now, it was very daring of Essop to say, but let's invite them to dinner. He stayed he shared a house with another one of our colleagues, Kenny Parker. And so the two of them agreed that if we agree, they will do the cooking for the cricket team. We are about 6 or 8 South African students at the university at the time. So we agreed. And strangely, they actually agreed to come to the dinner. It's very, very excited, therefore, to be hosting Gary Sobers and these other great cricketers from the West Indies as it's really basically ANC students at Sussex University. The reason, Dr. Randera, that the suggestion was made was this, that the argument was, Essop's argument. Yeah, we have a golden opportunity here to recruit these West Indians with their fabulous names to become a part of the struggle against apartheid.
All right, unfortunately, former President Thabo Mbeki frozen there. We'll take the live feed as soon as we can. This is a memorial service being held for the late Essop Pahad in Johannesburg. So unfortunate because he was right in the middle of a riveting story, giving the history again of the ANC young leaders studying in exile, trying to recruit the West Indies team to join the struggle.